Hello everyone and welcome to LS1 Discovery, a series of short videos by the LS1 team where we will cover some of the core functionality of LS1. My name is Andries Roux and I'm the product director for LS1. In today's video we're going to talk about stock taking or stock counting. Stock counting is supported in LS1 since the addition of the inventory features. So if we navigate to inventory, we go to stock counting, and there's a list of options that appear. If you want to perform a stock taking procedure, you need to create a journal first. Now a journal can be created from a filter, or you can just add it one by one, or you can create a template which journal is derived from, or you can take an existing journal and copy it and also complete the stock taking procedure. It's important to note that when you complete the stock taking, it can either be done through an Excel file, CSV file. You can also do it on a mobile inventory application supported by LS1, or you can do it straight into the site manager. What we're going to do now is create a new stock taking journal. So I select new stock taking, and I select the store where I want to perform this stock taking. And now what I need to do is I need to add my items one by one. So I'm going to add an aluminium frame. I'm going to do a count, and I can also just add my items and do the count later. The very last step that I need to do is to post the items, and the journal now goes into a posted state. So if I close this, go to counting, manage stock counting journals, I can either filter by posted or non-posted. You don't always need to add your items one by one. You can also use a filter if you want to search for the items that you want to include in the journal. In this particular case, I'm going to filter down on my retail group bikes. The following items appear. Next, from filter, I'm going to again choose my store. And as with before, I need to then go into each of these items and do the actual count. So the next we're going to look into is to how to do stock counting using just your normal tools like Excel, where you perhaps want to import the stock through an Excel file or a CSV file. Those can be very popular options because you might not have a site manager installed on every workstation that you do your stock counting, and perhaps you want to aggregate all these different stock counting files, and one administrator would import them all. So let's start with a CSV import. It's important before you actually do a CSV import that you create a CSV profile. This is of course something that you just need to do once, but this profile basically will then specify the fields that you will have in the CSV file. So stock counting, it has headers, and hit OK to that. And then I'm going to add the data items that I want to include in this particular stock counting file. I need to have the item number, item ID. I need to include the unit ID, and then I'm also going to include the counted amount. That's all I need for this to work. I'm going to close that. So now I've got my CSV profile specified. If I want to also show you just the stock taking CSV file that I have. So I've got my item ID, my unit ID, and then the counted, and then I got a couple of items just as demo data. So the next is actually quite simple. I would again go to counting, and in this instance I would import a stock counting file. I have to have a blank journal to import this into, and I've already created one called counting CSV. There's no items in it. I select that, and then I am going to select my CSV file, the one I just showed you. Open that. It says that my CSV Pro file, I have to set it as default. So I do that, and I go back to my import from stock counting file, counting view. And you can see that successfully inserted 2 records. So if I go to my journals and I look at counted CSV file now, I'll see that I've got those 2 items were included. Lastly, I'm going to show you how to import from a Excel file. I always like to create a empty journal again. In this case, it has the reason for it is because it creates an ID that I would like to have populated by LS1 as opposed to me creating my own ID. So there are no items in this particular journal. If I open up the Excel file, I'll show you how the Excel file looks like. It has a stock counting ID, which is the one that was generated by the system for me. It has a store ID and a description. And then you also have a tab called stock counting line. So stock counting line again must have the stock counting ID, the item ID, the unit ID pieces, and the amounts counted, right? So if I go to counting, import stock counting file, I can just specify my Excel file. I run the import tool. And I can see 2 items were successfully inserted. If I close this and I go to my actual journal, I will now see that those 2 items are there, and I can post them and my stock count will be completed. You can also create a stock counting journal, or rather template, and so every time you need to create a new journal you can derive it from a template. That's very easy to do. So the first thing that we need to do is go and create our template, and we're going to create a new template. I'm just going to call it bike stock taking template. There are different types of templates you can create, but I'm going to create a stock counting. It's going to be specific to a store, in this particular case the supermarket. Okay on that. And the last I need to do is then specify my items, and again I'm gonna just select my bike group, preview, and these will be the items in the template. I save and close that. So if I go back to my counting dashboard, I can view my stock taking templates, and if I have a list of templates it will all be here. I've only got one here. So I'm just going to click on this and finish it. And now what's happening is this site manager is generating a new template for me. And once that template has been generated, I can complete my stock counting. So now I have a journal with some items that I need to complete. And I just show you from my journal page now, manage journals, you can see that I have a journal which has a template name called stock taking template, and I can go in and I can actually change the name if I want to do that also. I would have to go to summary and just call it stock taking. Close on that, and that's it. Lastly, but not the least, is that you can do stock taking through our mobile inventory application. I'm not going to cover it in this tutorial as it's already extensively covered in one of our other tutorial videos. You can go to our YouTube channel, LS1 Tutorials, and there's a very good video on LS1 and LS Omni mobile inventory that goes through that. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. For similar tutorials, go to youtube.com and search for LS1. You can also go to the lsretail.com website. Under products, navigate to LS1. We'll find a lot of product information, including a free trial.